Good evening, everyone. With the time being 6 p.m. on Tuesday, December 12th, 2023, I will call this meeting of the Webster School Committee to order and ask that we stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The first item on the agenda is the review and approval of the minutes from the November 28th, 2023 meeting. Is there any discussion around those minutes? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve them.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you please poll the committee?
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Navarado?
Yes.
Member White?
Abstain.
Member Wiley?
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. The next item on the agenda is the superintendent's report. Good evening, Mrs. Perangeli.
Good evening, thank you. The first item I have for you tonight is a personnel update. We would like to welcome a few staff members, some returning and some new to us. Samantha Matthews, who is a para at Park Ave Elementary. Brian Scully, who is a cafeteria at Webster Middle School. He is returning to us. And then we have an ELL teacher, Sherry Milkowski. As you remember, she was an ELL teacher at the high school. She left and she has returned to us at the Webster Middle School. So we'd like to welcome them all. We have a transfer, an internal transfer, Chrissy Maletti. She is an ELL teacher. She will be moving from Webster Middle School over to the high school. We have a resignation, Donna Ortiz. She is a cafeteria worker at the Webster Middle School. And we have a couple retirements. We have Leslie Kwasneski, who is going to be retiring in June of 2025. So we are going to have her for a whole nother school year. I'm happy to say that. And then we have Nancy Guiney, who is a high school counselor. Her resignation will be, our retirement date is November 29th of 2024. So typically you see many retirements now around birthdays, and that's when she will be retiring. So we'll be sad to see them go, but certainly can't say I blame them as they head off into their next exciting journey. Are there any questions about personnel? Okay. I'm going to jump around a little bit, so thank you for your patience. We have a special guest with us tonight. We have Chief Shaw here. I've asked him here so we can speak a little bit of an ongoing, I'll say a little initiative that I've been working on. As you know, we have brought forward to you a policy on therapy animals. You met Lane, who is our counselors at the middle school's therapy animal. It was brought to my attention some time ago, looking through articles, that there have been many school resource offices around the states and in other states who have also been trained with therapy animals. It's been very popular in schools, or becoming more popular within schools, and helping with behaviors and just interacting with children, people going through difficult times. So I had approached Chief Shaw some time ago and talked to him about if he would be open to bringing in a therapy animal into our schools or into our community, into our police department. And we looked into it together. We had some discussions about it, and we talked to Officer Melhouse, who is an SRO, because as you know, bringing a new animal or anything into the world is bringing another member into the family. It's a huge commitment on behalf of anybody, and certainly a commitment to the police force and to SRO Melhouse. After some conversations, we looked into it and researched what it would take to bring an animal to the Webster Public Schools, into the Webster school community, and the town as a whole. So the biggest cost factor for implementing this would have been a cruiser. A cruiser has to be specially designed for an animal. It needs air conditioning. The back needs to be designed. It's a costly purchase. It's not like a car that can be reused throughout the day because they have to go home. You can't reuse it with other police officers. So it's a big commitment, and a car, a new cruiser like that, estimates about $75,000. Most of the services for the vet services are paid for and donated. Food is donated. The purchase of the dog is inexpensive. The training is manageable. It's very inexpensive. The school department, through donations and other means, can certainly help pay for some of those things. But the biggest barrier to this was the cost of the vehicle. So after some conversations, and we decided we were committed to this, I reached out to the Fells family and talked to them about what I felt it would do to bring a therapy dog to the school department and to the community as a whole. Because Officer Melhouse is not, he's with the school community 10 months out of the year, but he does get pulled from time to time when they're short-staffed or he needs to go out on normal calls, and then he's in normal rotation over the summer. There are many times when you're out in communities where there maybe are on difficult calls, domestic calls, or any type of removal of children, or any kind of tragedies. Even recently, you've seen with the tragedies up in Maine, they had therapy animals there to support the other officers and the families. So it doesn't just benefit the school department as a whole, it benefits the whole community. I'm happy to say that after some discussion with the Fells family, they have donated money for a police cruiser to the town of Webster, to the Webster Police Department, for the therapy animal. So Officer Melhouse will be getting a therapy animal in December, on December 29th. And then he will be having some training on that therapy animal, and it'll become a part of our school community and a part of our community as a whole in Webster. So I just wanted to thank Chief Shaw and have him here. I didn't know, it was wonderful collaborating with him and partnering with him on this endeavor. I'm excited to see the good that will come from this. And it's exciting to go through step and step. So I don't know if you wanted to say anything about, please. Yeah, right on up, pull up a chair.
I want to take someone's seat. I'll just talk about retirement days. Yeah, so when the superintendent, I think it was like last May, it was right at the conclusion of the school year last year, and she had approached me with the idea, and I said, well, a lot of it depends on the handler. We have a canine, as you know, we have Officer Swiss has had several canines for about 15 years, and I've been a police officer for close to 28 years, and I've seen, through my involvement, a lot of canine programs come and go, and it really is dependent. You have to have the right handler, and if you don't have somebody that's committed to it, then the program fails. And we've seen that here. Probably when I first got on, we had a handler that didn't quite work out, and I've seen other departments where that fails. So a big kudos goes to, you know, Officer Melhouse for wanting to take this responsibility on. I can't think of a better place for an animal like this than the school department, to be honest with you. I think this is a great resource for the school as well as the town, but I think it's going to get a lot of use here. We're seeing in law enforcement, we're seeing more and more departments have therapy dogs. Originally, when superintendent first approached me, I was a little hesitant because I wasn't too sure about, I don't know if I want to have an officer assigned to a therapy dog for the sake of having a therapy dog. And then I was concerned about losing Officer Melhouse in the summertime. But I had talked to him, had more conversations with the superintendent, and I think it's actually a really good fit for the town and the school. I think you're going to get a lot of use out of it, and I think we're going to get a lot of use out of it as well. If you come into this station, it's not uncommon to have our personal dogs in there from time to time. Mine usually comes with me to work, and it's actually very calming and soothing to the officers. They like having it. We just had a debrief for the double fatal accident. We had like 20 firefighters and like 5 police officers, dispatchers come in, and this is a resource that we could have utilized for that. So I think there's going to be a lot of uses for this. I think it's a great addition to the school, and I commend the superintendent for having the forethought of doing this and for really taking this and going to find the funding sources for it through the Fells, and their generosity is always appreciated by us and in the community as well. So it's going to be a really good. I'm excited to see where it goes. It's going to happen pretty quick. I know the car has been ordered. So I don't know what the build out is gonna be on that, but it should be here. I think the dog will be here before the car, but that's okay. We'll figure that out. But it's gonna be really good, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Thank you. Yes, so we should be having a new member to our family shortly. We're figuring all of that out as we go along. I believe the litter is here, and the dog would be ready on December 29th for him to take home, and then shortly after that, training would happen. So there's a process that you need to go through, the right steps. But I just really want to thank you for your collaboration and your open-mindedness and your willingness to work. And the Fells are just amazing. They continue to support us in all manners and support our community as a whole. And I just want to thank them for their support. It is going to we don't have to accept the donation because it is going to be going to the police department, so we don't have to do that. But I just wanted to bring this information to you and let you know what's going on. And we're just really excited to have this. We'll be thinking of creative ways of how maybe we want to name the animal, and Officer Melhouse is 150% on board and very excited to move forward with this. Is there any questions?
Great, thank you. It's a fine example of the generosity here in Webster and the teamwork that goes on throughout all of the different departments here in town. So very exciting to see this happening, not only for our students, especially for our students, sure, but also just for the many families and other folks that are going to benefit from this. So thanks for your teamwork. Any other questions or comments from the committee?
Through the chair,
Ms.
I
Millett?
I'm curious, as a dog owner, where do the animals reside when they're not on duty?
They reside with the owners.
Okay.
So he'll go home with Officer Melhouse. It's like Officer Sosa goes home with him. So he'll be living with Officer Melhouse.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? No? Thank you. Thank you, Chief Cha.
Thank you.
Nice to
Thank
see you.
you so much.
Happy
Thank
holidays.
you. Very much appreciated.
Thank you. Same to you.
Okay, where am I? Okay, instructional leadership. I will continue on that. So as you know, we have been working, I believe I informed you about the changes from our district leadership teams to our district instructional leadership team that we've been working on with our SSOS partners. As part of that, that ongoing work, I'm happy to report to you that the district administration, along with building administrators, have started to do bi-weekly walks to gather data around trends within our classrooms. Teams will be rotating around through different schools using a walkthrough tool that was created with district administrators and a SOS team. As we go through, we collect data, and then we sit and we debrief about the data, and then we will be reporting out on trends that we see within the school. Some of the trends that we're looking for, some of the items are students engage in student-to-student collaboration. Teachers create a respected learning environment where students are consistently challenged and comfortable taking risks. Students do all or most of the thinking in lessons, and teachers use data to provide targeted scaffold supports and opportunities to accelerate learning. So as part of this work, we have been working with our leadership team in reviewing data and looking at student work and talking about our target areas and how we need to focus on ELL and how we need to focus on special education. As you know, as part of that measure, we can't wait a year until our data comes out, until our MCAS data. That needs to be monitored closely all the time, so we can make adjustments as needed when we need to make them. And the only way we can do that to know that our work is being effective is to be in the buildings and to be in the classroom and to see that, that productive struggle of work happening. And it's demanding. It's demanding because what we're asking for constant, for teachers to constantly reflect on their practices. And when we debrief and we talk and we send out that feedback, we're asking them to take a look at their work, and when they go into their data meetings and they're professional learning meetings, and they're talking about the data and they're talking about their instructional strategies. How can we work to improve that as we're teaching in the classroom? So that's what we're trying to do here, is to go through and say, when we're having these discussions, how is that being messaged to our school instructional leadership teams, and how is that taking practice in the classrooms? Is it or is it not? And what do we need to do to adjust our efforts? It's all of us. It's not just on the teachers to do the work. Our instructional priority is focusing on ELL and special education in Tier 1 instruction. So that's your everyday instruction. So that's about being reflective about our practices on a daily basis. And it feels like a lot. You know, if you ask the teachers right now, they'll say it's a lot. We're tired. And I understand that. The work is tiring work. We're asking them to constantly take a look at the data and take a look at the information in front of them and then make changes. And we need to do that ongoing as we get through the school year. We can't wait a year for our test results to come out. So the work is happening. It's ongoing. It will be ongoing. We will be doing this bi-weekly. This is in addition to our GLEAM walkthroughs, which happen quarterly throughout the district. GLEAM focused just on literacy throughout the district. We are focusing on a big, broader picture to see how those instructional practices are happening in the classroom. Did I miss anything, Patty? Yeah. So it's busy. It's busy. It's really good work. It's work that holds us all accountable, you know, in the district, building principals and district leadership. It holds our feet to the fire, and it makes us realize what's working and what's not working and how we can respond to that. Is there any questions about that? No, that work? No. And that kind of leads into what I'm talking about next. On this past Monday, we had the Associate Commissioner, Charmy Curry, come in, and she visited classrooms at our high school and middle school. We were able to have a conversation before, and then we debriefed a little bit after. And basically, she's coming in to follow up on the work we're doing as a district instructional leadership team. She talked about, she asked me questions about how I felt where we were at right now, what kind of work we were doing around our instructional priority, how we were measuring that work, how were we messaging that work. And then we walked through the buildings and visited math classes and English classes at the high school and at the middle school. She spoke with both principals a little bit and talked to them about how they felt their practices were going, and give some feedback, and then takes it back to see how we can be supported in the future. So that was really good. She's doing this across the state. This isn't just Webster. She's reaching out to all school districts that they support. And, you know, she did, I will point out that she said during our conversation that when she was leaving, she said some positives are that when I was here last year, you know, I didn't notice a lot of the high instructional quality materials that you have being utilized in the classroom, you know, our study sinks and our CPMs and stuff. And she said every room that she walked in this year at the high school and the middle school, our ELA and math, she saw the materials out being utilized. So she was very happy about using the high quality instructional materials. And now it's just really digging in and following through with that instructional practices in the classroom. So we're working on it, we're working hard, and I think they acknowledge the work, and we just got to bring it to the next level to get that consistency and to get the sustainability is the key out of what we're doing. We've got to sustain the work and really own the work. This week, coming up, we have 3 webinars that we are attending. This is to support our chronic absenteeism initiative. After these webinars, I'll be meeting with the administrators to discuss how we're going to move forward and how we're going to be handling some of those attendance recovery paths and how we can tackle some of the issues that we see with attendance. I'm really happy to report that with the purchase of Open Architect that we did this year, data is at our fingertips and it's so easily accessible. across the board that there's really no excuse to know where we're at with attendance. We have the means to really pull quickly, within seconds, data around attendance and around test scores. And so those are things that we need to be looking at and working on and figuring how we can bridge those gaps and make sure we're getting kids to school. This isn't, again, just a Webster problem. We are seeing this across the state, which is why it's an initiative, because it's a problem. So we need to work on that and improve our practices around that. Do you have any questions there about the chronic absenteeism? No. Next, I will go into adult education, and if you don't mind, I'm gonna bump Ava up a little bit. She was down in the agenda also where it says approval of job description, so we'll do two birds with one stone, they say, right? So I'll let you speak about both items, the increase that you received in the grant and the job description. How's that?
Hey. Hello, everyone. So recently, we applied for additional funding to convert a part-time into a full-time position because we see that that is sort of like a structural issue throughout adult education, that it's harder to retain employees when they're part-time. Teaching is teaching, no matter if it's part-time or full-time, and people want to get paid for it, right? So we got an additional funding increase for a total of $28,268 to increase or to convert our part-time position into a full-time position. And this position will be an ESOL lead instructor. So they will be offering evening classes as well as daytime classes because we have a very, very long wait list. And I'm sure you see that in the schools as well. Their parents also want English classes. And so they come to us, but we're kind of filled to capacity. But with this new teacher, we'll be able to take on more students, especially in the daytime while their students are in school. So we're hoping to catch that different group of students. But essentially, that's really it. It'll be a lead instructor position. They'll mentor the evening part-time teachers. And yeah, are there any specific questions about that?
You should have the job description in your packet for that full-time position.
Well, there's certainly a need, right? And that's evidenced by having a wait list of people seeking English classes. So it's great that we were able to find some funding to make this position a full-time position. Thanks for the work that I'm sure you undoubtedly did to contribute to this grant and
Yeah,
secure it.
still doing the revisions. But still
Oh,
doing that.
gotta love the
This is
revisions.
one step of the way.
Excellent. Well, that's great. Are there any questions or comments from the committee, either about this increase in funding or about this job description? No? Okay. Should we entertain a motion at this point for the job description?
Yes,
Then we'll
that
have to
would be great.
revisit it later?
Yep.
So if there are no questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to approve the job description for the adult education lead ESOL teacher.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you please poll the committee?
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Navarado?
Yes.
Member White?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, motion passes. Thanks, Ava.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Happy holidays to you.
Thank you, Ava.
Holidays.
Okay, next, I will move into our other updates. Dr. Patty Mackay is here, and she will give us a few updates on the CASE conference, the sale of biliteracy, and upcoming assessments.
So I'll start with some gratitude for having had the opportunity to attend the CASE conference, which is a conference for compensatory education, in essence, for Title I folks. And it's a great opportunity for networking and listening to what challenges other people have across the district and what successes they have, and they bring in great speakers. The location is wonderful, and that's a bonus. But everybody across the state, like the thing that was like so powerful is that there was a common thread that everybody across the state is dealing with shortage of staff, is dealing with issues with chronic absenteeism, and is also dealing with the implementation of Tier 1 using high-quality instructional materials and planning for high-quality PD to support teachers for that implementation. We also had an opportunity to listen to both federal and state fiscal representatives, helping us understand and name some deadlines and name some things that we have to think about as far as sustainability beyond the COVID relief funds that have happened. And again, that's an area that like all school districts are struggling with or having to face. How are we going to move on when these funds expire at the end of this fiscal year? So it was a great opportunity to be with like-minded people, work for a common goal, and come back with some great ideas as far as supporting students and co-teaching. There were some really great co-teaching sessions and supporting students in scaffolds and interventions, which is what Title I pretty much is. So that was that, and that was wonderful. The second one, the last time I was here, I think I gave you an update on the district's move into the Seal of Biliteracy. And so we've accomplished certain steps. We're at the phase now where we've collected 12 applications from students at the high school, which is wonderful. They're not all completely vetted, so this is just the student interest. They've applied, they want to be considered, and now we just have to make sure that they meet the requirements. And once we know that the students meet the requirements, we will order the languages, the tests and the languages for them and get them through that process, which will be, this will be great. Be a great honor and recognition for them and their hard work in the maintenance of their biliteracy or the acquisition of biliteracy, because it's not just for native speakers, but students that have learned Spanish, for instance, at the high school. So it's the maintenance or acquisition of biliteracy. And the final is just, it's really more of a reminder and hoping for any families that are listening that, we have some pretty important testing coming up soon. Access for ELLs starts January 10th. And then soon after that, we have the ripple of MCAS. We've been doing MCAS all along. The high school has MCAS going on all year. But we start having like a ripple of MCAS assessments. And so it's so important, even though we understand how much pressure there is for high stakes testing. But I guess one thing that families may not realize and students don't realize is that those testing sessions take time and there are schedules made. And then when students are absent, then that pulls teachers from instruction for more days to have to make up testing. So the big reminder here is that, listen to the schedules, be aware of when the students are being tested, and to try our very, very best and hardest to have students come to school to have the assessment done so that we don't have to do so many makeups. And we also don't want to list absences on our state assessments. So it's just attendance during all times is important, but to make an extra effort during assessments.
Thank you for your updates, Dr. McKay. I'm very excited about the biliteracy seal. Any other updates for us? All right.
So Dr. McKay gave a good lead in to the next bullet, which is the administrative team is working on our FY25 budget. We're definitely going to have a presentation ready for you at the next school committee meeting in January. I know you mentioned looking at a budget workshop again, so we will look at that. I think we should go through at least 1 or 2 cycles of the budget before we have the workshop, but we can look to mid to late January, maybe early February for something like that, and we'll discuss that further. But we are very actively working on budget and really trying to take into account what it's going to look like without ESSER, which is scary. Also upcoming this week on Thursday, December 14th, I will be attending our CMC board meeting. That meeting is, I'm going in early. I'm meeting with the Oxford superintendent, and we are receiving a tour of the facility. The facility had some issues this past year with leaks, and they had in other buildings that they've gotten cleaned up. And so we're taking a walk through to make sure and just get a tour of the facility and see what kind of shape it's in. And then on Friday, December 15th, I have our Southern Worcester County Board meeting. That meeting is going to be held in Oxford, so I will be there for that. And then we have in January, in middle of January, we have our next full PD day, January 16th. I know our curriculum director, Jill Chapdelaine, has been working on professional development for that day, and our grids are almost done and ready to be sent out to staff. And hopefully at one of the future meetings coming up, I will have our girls on the run, but I wanted to give our staff and our parents and our students a huge shout out who survived the rain in Worcester on December 3rd for that 5K. It's such a great event, and the number of people that show up, I believe you were there, Ms. Siddiqui, you were there, Ms. Blythe, to support and to walk, right, to participate in the run. Walk, runish, jog? Yeah, awesome, awesome. It wasn't the best day for a run, and I would have loved to have been there to support the team on that, but my son was doing his own run that day. He was running his first half marathon, so we went to cheer him on. But thank you to everybody who showed up to support the girls. Thank you to our coaches who run that. It's a wonderful program. Thank you to our parents for participating, and just for everybody who's supporting that. It's so great to see. And the kids are so proud when they're done. When they finish that run, they are so proud. Next item I have is I met with our library, one of our library trustees, Raina Claybart, and we were talking about how we can collaborate with the school department. As you know, as part of our community outreach, we're trying to engage different stakeholders and partner with them as a school department. Ms. Claybart has told me that as part of their strategic plan, they are looking at really working on connecting with our community and understanding our community. And during our conversations, she approached me that they received a grant and they're trying to feature some work from our students or artists throughout the library. They're going to have weeks where they're featuring work in the community room. And in part of that discussion, she asked if we would be interested in maybe having some of our teachers feature our students' work there, which I thought would be wonderful. I did reach out to Brittany to see if it's something that she thought she would be interested in. Whenever they can showcase students' work, they are all in. But as part of that discussion, when we're trying to get a true representation of our community, and they're also in trying to engage community members to come in and use the library and stakeholders to use the library, it reminded me of a conversation that I was having with Miss Landry when she was talking about our ESOL students and the kind of work that they're doing. And she's doing fun little contests, like once a month, she's having maybe writing stories about, not just the text, but something fun. Like I think in October they did a horror story. So the adults could write a story about anything that they wanted. It could be a scary story or something to do with Halloween, horror. In November, they did something they're thankful for to practice their writing skills, and how proud they were to actually display their work at home for their children to see on the fridge. They got certificates for their work. They were entered into a contest, and how proud they were to have that represented in their home. I asked Miss Landry if she thought maybe some of that work would want to be featured at the library also, so they could feature their work for the public to come in and they could bring and show their families the work. And she said absolutely. So I spoke with Ms. Claybart and pitched that idea to her, and she was excited to have them on board also. So we're going to work through the details of that. Might not be until the spring, maybe May or June, but there'll be a time period where we'll have work, and it could be work across Webster. I'm thinking not just Webster students, but our Webster parents and community members who attend our adult ed program, who are under the Webster School program here to feature all work. So we're excited about that and what it will become. I'm looking to working with them, and it's really wonderful that they are truly wanting to partner with the school department in collaborating and helping engage not only our students but our parents and our community members in the work. So, and that is my final item I have for you.
Thank you for your updates, Mrs. Perangeli.
Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments from the committee? No. Hearing none, the next item on the agenda is a business manager report. Good evening, Mrs. Contos.
Good evening. I have two updates this evening. One is regarding the building committee. The project was rebid on November 29th and advertised as required. As I reported in the last meeting, just as a reminder, the file sub-bids are due on January 3rd, and then the general contractor bids are due on January 17th. We don't have any additional updates at this time. Our next school building committee is next Tuesday. Any questions before I move on? Okay. The main topic that I want to give you an update on is regarding the boiler at Bartlett High School. So we've been evaluating options to heat the building, given the failure that we've had. And so we've looked at the option of buy versus rent, and have learned that renting is extremely cost prohibitive, unfortunately. One of the things that we had been looking for with respect to this is really timeliness in terms of when we could get boilers. So part of the conversation was what is in stock. So we do have a proposal for 2 boilers. It is just shy of $180,000 for those boilers that we would like to purchase through Chapter 25A. We've also consulted with the Bartlett High School renovation project. So we consulted with the OPM and the designer as well, because part of the conversation we wanted to have is with respect to these boilers and, you know, what will be the disposition of them when the project starts. So at this point, it's too late to really change the specifications that have been put out to bid. So the recommendation from both the OPM and the architect is really to wait for the general contractor to get on site and then start having the conversations with them. And so we will be speaking with the GC when we have them on board to try to determine whether or not these boilers could be reused within the project, and whether or not that's feasible. That would be the ideal way in which this will go, but we're not really sure what kind of changes that would have with respect to the project and change orders. If that's not an option, then of course we would work within the district or within the town to find an option for reuse, hopefully within the community. And if that's not an option, then the final option would be to sell them at the conclusion, or at the point of time that we convert over to the new boilers. See what else did I want to mention. The other thing that we've been looking at is with respect to purchasing through 25A, we've been in consultation with legal counsel as well on that to make sure that we have the right contract language in moving forward with that purchase. And then finally, with respect to funding, because I think that's the real critical piece here that we have to talk about, is we would be looking to initially purchase this through extraordinary maintenance to start with. So what we're evaluating across the district is where are the surpluses that we have that we can bring forward to the school committee to approve a transfer into that line item to purchase it. Ultimately, what we're looking at for funding, hopefully, is in consultation both with the town and the state on potential grants that could fund this. We actually have a call tomorrow with our liaison with the state for a HVAC grant is one alternative. We're also working collaboratively with the town as well on that, as well as based on the town's recommendation, also consulting with our insurance company as well. So we're investigating several avenues for how we can ultimately fund this in the long run. Let me just pause there and see if there's any questions.
Through the chair. So I know that it says that there's no lead time to actually get the boilers, but what's the lead time to have them installed?
Good question. So we are looking at hopefully during school break to be able to, no, Christmas.
Won't we not have the GC until
This is not part of that project. This is not part of the building project.
Understand that, but didn't you say that they wanted to wait for the general contractor?
For the general contractor to talk about reuse of the boilers in the long run,
Thank
right?
you.
Not for the purchase.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
That's a good point of clarification. So we'll need to find a way, whether it be through grants or reallocation of funds, to purchase these boilers with the hope that we'll be able to either use them in the building long-term or find another way to repurpose them later. Great.
I think in the interim, correct me if I'm wrong, but what we would be doing is still looking to do that execution through internal surplus and a transfer, and then reimburse that with, hopefully with grant funding.
Correct.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
And that's all I have this evening.
Looks like no maintenance issues at the middle school or the elementary school, so that's good news.
Nothing rising to the level of what we have going on at Bartlett.
For sure.
Do we need to approve that tonight?
Well, depending on the timing here, we don't have another meeting before,
We don't have a transfer you tonight, but we have money in our building accounts enough to cover, so I don't need to come because I don't have to do a transfer right now from salary to that. We should be able to cover it within our maintenance accounts, but we will have to eventually.
that account.
So right now, it's a matter of just executing the contract, doing a purchase order, getting it moving, and then we'll identify the sources and bring it back to you for a final transfer. But we're good with that now.
okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else from Ms. Contos from the committee? Okay, thank you for your updates. Next item on the agenda is our principal's report. Good evening, Mr. Collins.
Good evening, everyone. I hope everyone is well. And I will start off with not cold things, very hot things. The bingo night was a hot ticket. So I'm going to talk first about some of our engagement in community activities. This is almost an update. As the last time I was here, I told you we were planning those for the year and coupling our PBIS program with how do we get families into the schoolhouse. So boiler broken or not, Ms. Contos, bingo was a hot item. So if you didn't make it out to Family Feud or bingo night at Bartlett, we are planning all kind of events like this all year. It has been a real treat to see our families engage like that, but not just our families, but community friends to come and bring their families and their aunts and their grandma's last time to bingo. It was so much fun that we want to officially, of course, invite everyone here, but everyone out there listening, whether you're a Webster parent or a Bartlett parent, to these events. It is coupled, as I said, with PBIS, so our students can choose their Bartlett Bucks, which has been a huge thing that Mohammed would have spoken to you about tonight in terms of how well that has went for our students. And I think in speaking on behalf of the student voice, he was going to tell you the great things about what he's heard from kids, and we truly have watched it. You sometimes worry about these kind of initiatives if they're too elementary or they're maybe too young for our kids, and they're not. Like, our kids love it, and they're like competing for these dollars in classrooms and in the Christmas competitions that we have going on in these 12 days before holiday break. And it's really cool to see. And this event, they got to pay either in bucks or to enter the event. So we want to tell you that forthcoming, we have bingo by high request from the folks that came. So we are adding another night. So Ms. Nieves was like scrambling with the calendar to where do we add it? Where do we add it? So, and the kids started talking about it, of course. So we're going to do that. And we already have a lip sync battle coming up after the holidays. And something that was really great, if you were able to come and see the victory pep rally for the football game at Thanksgiving, you got to see a wonderful piece of culture with our students, with a newly formed group of students working with one of our new Spanish instructors around cultural dancing, and they got to incorporate it into that big event, that historical event. So we are looking to do a cultural dance night, kind of like like maybe fiancés would go and take a dance lesson before their wedding, kind of something like that, but it would just be a one night kind of lesson but we want to do that for families. So we're looking at where we can plug in these kind of ideas that really spark interest, not only for our kids, but for our community members and friends. So again, if you're out there listening and you're a Webster parent or you're a community supporter, we want you to come to these events. So stay tuned for that. These events not only raise money for our PBIS initiatives and for our student incentives, but it just gives back an opportunity outside of the classroom to engage. And that was one of our big goals. PSAT is, as you probably know, the National Merit Scholar Qualifier Exam is what they use nationwide. So the PSAT is something that we don't require 10th graders and 11th graders to take. We highly encourage students to take it. And this year we doubled our previous year of students, thanks to Superintendent Prangeli agreeing to work with us from the district level to pay for student testing through the College Board, both this test, the PSAT, and our AP exams coming, which I'm gonna kind of tie into that with this part of my report. But with 10th and 11th graders that took the test, we had almost 60, we had 52 kids that signed up. And it was really nice to see the kids take that initiative through time with their counselors, talking about what the college experience would look like, and this is an exam that really does get them ready. One of the most important things is from this exam, the College Board gives us an AP potential report that counselors can really hone in on those 60, almost 60 children to say, hey, you know, you need to take these AP courses, align with the science, the math, the humanities, whatever it is, maybe the arts areas, and allow us to get more exposure and more enrollment in those courses. So we are going to utilize some of that in hopes that next year we get 100 kids, because between two grade levels that can take it, 10th or 11th, which is really where the College Board likes you to target into those two grade levels, we would have close to 230 to 240 kids between those two grade levels that we could beef up next year. So hopefully I'll have big numbers and increase that, and hopefully we will get a National Merit Scholar one of these times. That would be awesome for Bartlett High School. PLTW, as you know, many times I love to tell you all about these events, and some of you yourself have experienced these events. Our PLTW, which is our Project Lead the Way, of course, is a bridge of courses from the middle school to the high school. And in the high school, they track in the two career pathways that we currently have, which are national pathways that our kids can globally compete with kids from across the country. So in engineering, in our health sciences or biomedical science, our kids get to take these opportunities. Our PLTW has had a very busy semester, and I kind of wanted to take the opportunity just to highlight a couple of the things that they have been working on. At home, here in our home base, we had our first annual Bartlett High School mashup, which is a huge in the Worcester area. You know, at Polar Park, they bring all of the kiddos from all around there. And so we did our own version of it. And our PLTW coordinator, Michelle Bigelow, Biggs, as the community, many kids call her, so I apologize, Michelle Bigelow, Miss Bigelow. She worked tirelessly to make this happen. And I have to A, shout her out, and B, shout out all of the PLTW teachers here and at Webster Middle, because it was a huge combination effort just to get this ready for our 8th graders, the class of 2028 rising up. And it's so crazy to say that, right, as you think about that, but we're already in that direction with them. So the mashup was the first of many bridging events that we can be here and show these kiddos what we're offering right here. And then that led into an event where she actually worked with both sets of teachers at the middle and the high school, and they did their own events. And that was just recently, a few weeks ago, in all the different STEM areas, which was a hit for the entire day. It's really great to watch the middle school kids interact with the older kids at the instructional level. And I say that not loosely, I say that in a proud, rigorous way, because our kids, our high school kids, my students really step up to bring quality instruction and ideas with these kids. And it's really cool to watch. So I have to shout all of the PLTWs at both schools out on that. The other events that they did, they went to Mass Makes Innovation Challenge, and Miss Bigelow took our students along with our life skills program, who this year, for the first time, are doing an actual PLTW course in the engineering pathway. And it is, again, beautiful to watch and to experience those children, to be able to come and interact with that curriculum as well as our students, in the gen ed side of the schoolhouse. And she got to take all of them on the trip, which was awesome. And they got to experience different stations within that STEM environment, built mostly for high school students, not a middle school kind of environment, but which is how then the kids came back here and she had that innovation to do it here locally at home. And then lastly, all of you are aware of Mr. Jennis. He's one of our football coaches as well. He leads our DECA program, and they are an amazing group of young folks, young leaders who really take business projects to the next level. And they recently competed at DECA, and we had one of our teams make second place, so they will move on and, of course, go to continue to the next level. So it's really exciting in the PLTW world. There'll be a lot more in semester 2, so when I'm back again, I'll tell you more about that. And if you ever get a chance to be part of, I know that Ms. Blythe, you're working with her and helping in that area, so we're always thankful for your support as well. And then lastly, our re-engagement, as this year we were able to get a re-engagement specialist, so we have really been working. I'll tell you, we have a gem of a re-engagement specialist, Barbara Small, ours. She has worked with our community in the day, in the night, and she'll, connect with families wherever she can get to them. And we've really been looking at getting kids to not increase their attendance rate to more absences, but also our tardies. As we reported last year, we went to a pretty rigorous tardy policy with lockout and documenting that and engaging with families and getting them to understand kids are late, here their time on learning. Due to vacancies this year, we weren't able to open that up in Q1. So transparent, but sad to report that our tardies went up about 8%. And we knew we had to target that. So in mid Q2, we have that position back. Again, thank you to Superintendent Prangeli for getting us that support in there so that we could get someone tackling this day to day so that we can get those students. So along with our re-engagement specialist and now our person who's helping our front office and working with this program, we are back to our lockout and really getting on the phone with parents, getting parents in here in the morning so we can say, hey, we got to hit back at these tardies. We do not want them rising to where they were before. And already just in probably about 2 weeks, we've noticed less and less each morning, which is great. So I just wanted to report that out, that the re-engagement, not only engaging the community, but the re-engagement of day-to-day with families, meeting them where they are, finding out what's going on. We want to be out there. We want the parents to engage in the process of getting kids to school on time and, of course, being engaged throughout the day. So this has been something that we saw in Q1 as we looked at the data that we needed to tackle. So we got on it right away in Q2, and we are working to bring those numbers back down to where we were because we were doing really great at the end of last year. And that's it. And Christmas time. So I will say this because I won't see you before. So our Christmas concerts are coming up this coming week on the 14th. So please, 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 if you can, the Bartlett Choir and Band. So, and we are. So due to what we are experiencing right now with the construction, we will be having our last concert. And I say it every time, and I feel crazy every time I say it. It is the last time. Mr. Carney said to me the other day, he said, no, this is really the last one we'll have, right? And I was like, this is the last one we're gonna have for a while in here. So we will be having our Christmas concert. So if you or the community friends out there want to come and support those kiddos, please come on out and celebrate this holiday season with us.
So that's December 14th, so that's Thursday.
That is Thursday night.
Do you happen to know the time
Yes,
offhand?
it is at 7 p.m. 7 p.m.
6:30, it's on
Oh.
calendar.
Oh, it
did you
is.
put
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
sorry, I misspoke. I'm glad. Thank you. 6:30.
Excellent, that's exciting. And Mr. Collins, the events are amazing. I'm really sad that I missed the event that just happened. We had a scheduling conflict. But, so bingo, lip sync battle, and cultural dance night, when you have dates for those, let us know.
We of course will.
Great.
We will invite you all, and of course, for those out there, it's on our website. And then if you're a parent that receives our dojo, those are in our weeklies. So we put that calendar out there. But we will definitely let everyone know because they are becoming good events to be at. So
Sure. And you've done a great job of putting them out on social media too, by the way. And there was quite a buzz that night and the next day too. So that was great to see too. So thank you very much for your updates
thank you
and
guys so much.
great, thank you. And well, the next item on the agenda is an update from our student representative. Unfortunately, Mohammed's not able to be here with us tonight. But Mr. Collins, thanks for relaying a lot of those updates. And hopefully, when Mohammed's back, he'll be able to give us any other updates that he was hoping to give us. We wish him well. And the next item on the agenda, under old business, is a monthly report on fundraising applications. Mrs. Perangeli?
As you should have in your packet, we have 4 applications. We had Bartlett High School, we're all Bartlett High School. Oh, I always forget that. We have 4 applications in your packet. And they're all for the high school. We had PBIS Bingo Night. The class of 2026 is doing a pie sale. The class of 2025 is sale of hot chocolate and toppings. And then we have the art department who is bringing their empty bowls back, which is a wonderful event. So all of these, I would recommend approval.
Great. And yeah, just as a reminder, it's the role of the school committee to review the fundraising applications, but we don't approve them. And just a quick shout out for empty bowls. I know there's a lot of people. It's one of my, February 9th, 6 to 8. So be there for those of you who are listening. And thank you for those updates there. Lots of good things going on. And then the next item on the agenda is the review, transfer, signing of warrants, bills, payroll, and vouchers. And we do have a transfer request. It's in the amount of $4,475.20. And that's going from the Webster Middle School Student Activity Savings Account to the checking account. Any questions or comments from the committee about that? I'll entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you please poll the committee?
Member Adamopoulos?
Yes.
Member Naprata?
Yes.
Member White?
Yes.
Member Collette?
Yes.
Yes, motion passes.
And I would just like to wish everybody a happy holidays. I know this is our last meeting until after the new year, so I just wanted to wish everybody a nice break. I hope it's restful, and I hope everybody stays safe and happy and has a wonderful holiday season.
Thank you.
Thanks very much, Mrs. Perangeli. Same to you and all of the staff and students and families out there. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
There's a motion and a second. Lori, would you please poll the committee?
Yes.
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 Yes, meeting adjourned. Good night, everyone. Happy holidays.